بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sumayya Hassan and welcome to Aspire. So in this final series in the final session of our series on personal branding, we will today inshallah talk about attitude. The importance that attitude plays as far as shaping and building your personal brand. Attitude helps influence how you perceive situations, how you respond to situations. It affects your interactions with others, and ultimately it could even define your reputation. So it really is very important to look at the attitude and what it is that we need to do in helping build a positive personal attitude. Why is attitude so important? And perhaps what are some of the things that one can do around that? Perhaps the place to start here is when we talk about first impressions. And your attitude may be the first thing that somebody notices about you. Yes, you may be well dressed. You may be dressed in a certain way. So before somebody interacts with you, this is what they will see. But the minute somebody has an opportunity to have an interaction with you, and the interaction can be direct or indirect, it may not even be that you're speaking to this person. They may be observing you speaking to somebody else. Your attitude will start shining through. And immediately somebody may form a first impression. And that first impression may be a lasting impression. And it may influence your interactions going forward either positively or negatively. You have probably seen this person that the minute you saw this person, their first impression on you was so positive. And you're like, you know what? I want to get to know this person better. I want an opportunity to sit down with this person and talk to them a little bit more, maybe learn a little bit more from them, just because of their attitude. And maybe they were not even talking to you. It's possible that you just had them speaking to somebody somewhere and it really impacted you in a certain way that you thought, this is telling me something about this person. Conversely, the opposite can equally be true, that there are certain first impressions about a person that have put you off so completely that you don't want anything to do with this person. And yet, the person could be extremely knowledgeable, they could be extremely resourceful, but the first impression because of their attitude was not positive. So we want to be very careful. And what this means is every interaction you have outside of people that you have met or you meet regularly is possibly a first interaction to somebody, potentially. So let's always be careful because you don't know who is meeting you for the first time. And one of the things that I like to reflect on is that as a Muslim, the minute you step out of your house, in your house as well, but for now I'm just focusing on stepping out. The minute you step out of your house, you are an ambassador for Islam, whether or not you want it. Willingly or unwillingly, you are representing Islam. Now, what is that impression of Islam you're creating for somebody? It could be that somebody who sees you or interacts with you has never met any other Muslim. You are the first Muslim that they are meeting. So what is the first impression of Islam that you are creating in this person's mind? Be very careful. It's a huge weight on our shoulders, but that is the reality. You don't want the entire religion of Islam to be negatively branded because of an attitude that you were carrying on that particular day. So just remind yourself of that as you go out, as you interact with people, that you know what, I could be interacting with people who have never met any other Muslims. Am I being a good ambassador for Islam? What attitude, therefore, should I be carrying and portraying so that I am a good ambassador for Islam? The other thing about attitude is consistency. You want your attitude to be consistent with your personal brand, your personal values. This will reinforce the authenticity of your brand. You don't want to be like a yo-yo. People don't know where they stand with you. Today you're blowing hot, tomorrow you're blowing cold. It's like you have two personalities and they really can't figure you out. You don't want to be that type of person. Now, this doesn't mean that you wear all your emotions on your face and that you reveal everything about, everything you're thinking, everything that is in your heart. No, but it means be consistent as far as your values are concerned. Don't preach one thing, but then where we see you or other interactions, when you speak, you say one thing, and then what you're showing people as far as your social media interactions is something completely different. Be consistent as far as how you project yourself, as far as your attitude is concerned. Don't hold yourself out in a certain way, but when you speak, you're foul-mouthed, you're cussing, you're using swear words. People can't reconcile that. What you're saying, how you're behaving, you want to ensure consistency. The other thing about attitude is that a positive and confident attitude, it can inspire and influence others. It can actually position you as a leader in your field, not because of a title that you hold, but just because of the way you're carrying yourself. You find there are people who are confident when they speak, the way in which they engage. And naturally, people tend to gravitate towards and around them because they come across as a natural leader. So the positivity of your attitude, the confidence of your attitude can also position you as a leader and positively influence others. Resilience is very important in attitude. If you have a positive attitude, this helps you deal with challenges and setbacks. Ask yourself, how easily do you bounce back when you have challenges? Are you the type of person that somebody told me recently that it takes them a while to get over a grudge? When they have something that affects them, it takes them a while. I actually had, somebody saying that they continue the grudges of their father. I think their father had passed away. And they are continuing his grudges. You don't want to be that person. That should not be part of your attitude. Really? You want to continue the grudges of a previous generation? How much weight can your shoulders carry? Because that just sounds to me like an incredible amount of unnecessary baggage on your shoulders. So be that person who has a resilient attitude. Bounce back. Life isn't a straight line. There are ups and there are downs. The important thing is, what have you learned from when you're down? What are the lessons? What can you do about improving your situation from the lessons that you have learned? Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep moving. Even with those ups and downs, just focus on the general trajectory. Is it generally going upwards? You're on the right track. But don't, when you're down, stay down. Don't. Have an attitude of resilience. Collaboration is another very important aspect of attitude. And when you're building your personal brand, do you have a collaborative and open attitude? Because this can lead to very successful partnerships. It can lead to successful opportunities. This can enhance your brand's reach, your impact, and also the opportunities that then you're able to leverage. So if you have an attitude of collaboration, there is a famous African saying that says, if you go alone, you can go fast. But if you go together, you can go far. You would rather go far most of the times, or many of the times, not always. Sometimes what you want is to go fast. The point here is, don't limit yourself to the capacities that you have as an individual. The strength that you can bring to bear by having a network around you requires that you have an attitude of collaboration that then allows you to build networks and partnerships. A can-do attitude and a willingness to take problems head-on is quite essential in building a brand that is seen as effective and reliable. Why? Because life isn't smooth all the time. Sometimes problems will happen. So when there are problems or when there are challenges, are you that person who just collapses and melts? Or are you somebody who is regarded as being reliable? Even in the face of a problem, you can be relied on to try and put your heads together in coming up with a solution, that you will look for a way around that problem. Rather than, there are people, perhaps you know, that when there's a problem, that is the one person you don't want to be near, because they will, there's a saying that says that you can make a mountain out of a molehill, out of a little hill, an anthill. There are people who are like that. They will take something small and completely blow it out of all proportion. That's an attitude they have. And there are some people, even in the face of what looks like a big challenge or adversity, the way in which they deal with it, the composure, the confidence, you get comforted just by looking at them, just by being in their presence, and you almost start feeling that half the problem is already solved just because of their attitude, even without dealing with the details of the problem itself. So seek to have an attitude that looks at how to tackle and solve problems effectively, rather than just collapsing in the face of challenges. As far as customer relations are concerned, if you are in a business or you provide services, then the attitude that you have towards engaging with your customers is really critical. This can influence your brand reputation. It can influence how much business you do. It can influence repeat business and whether you're able to retain your customers, and it can influence referrals. This is so important when you have a business, that somebody can refer you. Getting a business, getting a customer is very difficult. So what you don't want is to have done all the hard work to get a customer and then you lose them because of the attitude that you displayed towards the customer that just put them off. So you want to be positive in your engagement with your customer. And then you want to not only retain them, but you want them to be a promoter of your business. You want them to talk positively about you and refer you to other potential customers. And at the heart of it is the attitude. Even if you have a problem in the business and there's a situation, how positively you're engaging with your customer, how you're communicating with them, how you're sitting with them to try and resolve the issue is so important in managing that relationship and in retaining this customer. At the same time, a positive and respectful attitude can be very powerful in networking. It is one of the things that helps you to build a valuable network and to maintain those connections. If you have an attitude that looks at things from a long-term point of view, rather than seeking only immediate gratification, this can help you build long-term positive relationships. It can help you stay motivated because you're not looking at what am I getting out of this today, but you're really looking at this as a long-term engagement. And it is not about short-term gratification. It's really about growing together. It's about adding value to each other. It's about assisting each other along this journey. And so if you can adopt an attitude that looks at things from a long-term point of view, rather than it being transactional, this is likely to help you go much further than you looking at your interactions very transactionally. What can I get out of it now? And that may create a certain perception of you that maybe you use people only for what it is that you can get out of it now, rather than looking at long-term value creation for both of you. Self-confidence is very important because you want to come across as somebody who understands who they are And this is not about pride. Let's not confuse self-confidence with pride, but it's about understanding what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And so building on your strengths and trying to deal with your weaknesses should put you in a situation that even when a situation comes to you or an opportunity comes to you, you are confident on, can I take this opportunity or not? Because you understand yourself. You understand whether if it's a job opportunity, can I do this? What are my strengths and competencies that would allow me to do this? Or what are the weaknesses that I need to work on for me to do this job properly? And this is a big part of what also you project when you're engaging with other people as far as your attitude is concerned. So remember, positive thinking is very important in building a positive personal attitude. Remember what Allah tells us in Surah Ra'd, that Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves. So you can't change. If your attitude right now, you have analyzed it and you see, I have certain gaps somewhere, or you have sat with somebody who is a trusted person to you and they're helping you improve your personal attitude. So don't say, oh, but this is who I am. No, you can't change your condition. You can't change what is in yourself. But for you to do that, you must first understand what is it that you have and what is it that you need to build and what is it that you need to change or improve on. Remember also that we are told in Surah Al-Ibrahim, chapter 14, verse 7, that if you are grateful, I will surely increase you. Allah tells us. So having an attitude of gratitude is so important. If somebody has done something for you, no matter how small that thing may be, if you show gratitude, then somebody is inspired and motivated to do it again or to do more for you. But if you come at it and show like, oh, you know, what you've done is so minimal, it's really not adding any value, is this person likely to want to do anything for you, next time or to do more? So remember, attitude of gratitude is really so important. Remember, in a hadith, Rasulullah tells us that Allah is kind and He loves kindness in all matters. So have an attitude of kindness. Have an attitude like Allah tells us that verily with hardship there is ease. Inna ma'al usri yusra. So that should be part of your attitude. Don't look at any situation as final. Even in a situation where there is hardship, remember that Allah promises that even with hardship, there is ease. So have that positive attitude, believing in what Allah has said. Have an attitude of being honorable. Verily, the most honorable of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Allah tells us this in Surah Al-Hujurat. So have that attitude of righteousness. Have that as part of what you deliberately build into your attitude. The best of you are those with the best attitudes, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us. So build that. Build that as part of your personal attitude. Build patience and steadfastness. Allah loves those who are patient and steadfast. He tells us in Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 146. In a hadith, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us, none of you truly believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Have an attitude of loving for others what you love for yourself. This will affect and guide your interactions with people, because then you're seeking to deliver value just as you're seeking to create value. And finally, have an attitude that reflects a lifelong learning and growth mindset. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam tells us, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. So have a lifelong learning and growth mindset attitude. So inshallah, by following the examples that have been given to us in both the Quran and the Hadith, we can be very deliberate in building and cultivating the type of attitude that we want. Just like we want to surround ourselves with people who have a positive attitude, let us also be those people that others want to surround themselves with. Ladies and gentlemen, Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.